So the first thing that I'm going to do is pull up your slides that we made for today.
We've got slides.
So that everybody can understand what's happening here in the studio. We are at Juju Mama headquarters here in Asheville, North Carolina. And what we do here is very simple. We change the paradigm. And the way that we have done that is by making sure that there are tools and things like this, books, for people to understand and learn a new way of being. So Rakhem Seku, can you tell us, why did you write this book, The Art of Open Relating?
Well, thanks again for the intro. I mean, the main thing is Kenya and I have been in an open relationship for a long time. I guess we're going on about 10 years or so. And we've seen a lot of things. We've coached a lot of people. We've been around and around with it within our own personal life. And I really wanted to, get this information, get our perspective and our experience into a book form. And I wanted to do it actually years ago. But again, things kind of came up. I was never really 100% in the place where I felt like I knew enough to really write about open relating. But, last year I kind of felt like, man, we've been in this 10 years. And so I really feel like, I've had enough experiences and I felt good about writing it, to the point where if people had something to say or had questions to ask, or if they wanted to challenge something I was writing, I felt very confident and competent to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So the reason why I wrote the book was because I've got enough information. I've got enough things to share, enough experiences, both in it myself personally, having had dozens and scores of partners and coaching other couples, that I felt it was time.
Right. So can you tell me this? What is it that you feel why do other people need to read this book? I know it's a lot of people trying to do open relating, but give us a little hint as to what you think about that.
The reason why I would read the book is because, Kenya and I have so much relationship experience that no matter what you're really trying to do from a relationship standpoint, you're going to get some deep and dope-ass insights from this book. So yes, the book is focused on open relating, but the bottom line is, open relating to me is kind of at the top of the chain in terms of difficulty and complexity. So in order to really talk to people about open relating, I have to address even the basics and the foundation, which include monogamy, right? So if you want to expand your knowledge around relationships, then yeah, you should read this book, because you're going to pick up jewels and some incredible tools to help any kind of relationship. Also, it's entertaining. I mean, this is not a book about, my experiences personally, like told in story form, but, I do talk, straight up about, what men need to focus on, what women need to focus on, what couples need to focus on, what some of the pitfalls are in relationships in general. So you're going to pick up a lot of information. It's going to be a powerful read. Again, anything that we do at the Juju Mama Love Academy, to me, is going to be cutting edge. It's going to be new. It's going to be something you're not going to hear from the average coach or the average, professional out there.
Yeah. And be sure to follow Rakhem Seku on Facebook and on Instagram to hear more about his daily life and to know what he's up to on a regular basis. Now, I want to talk about this show, Insecure. That's Issa Rae's latest piece, and she's actually having a couple who has an open relationship on the show. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so, the Insecure, that television show on HBO, is kind of like the latest iteration of people talking about open relationships and that type of thing. But other people have kind of talked about it, right? The bottom line is this. Let's just be 100% honest and open about the direction that everything is going. I mean, open relating is the new direction for couples, for relating, like how we relate. I mean, it is the plateau that's going to help, society. It's going to help our communities. It's going to help families, etc. So the bottom line is that that's where everything is going. And the reason why is because of what open relating actually is. in order to be in an open relationship, an open marriage, you have to have certain things in place. You've got to be in touch with yourself and what you actually want. You've got to have authentic communication. You can't be about like the lying and the deceit and that kind of stuff, right? And so that's where people actually want to be in relationships. Like people claim that in other relationship forms, but the bottom line is if you're inside of monogamy, for example, it's very difficult to be honest about who you are, how you feel. And so when we see pop culture, like the Insecure show and these other shows, Love and Hip Hop, mentioning open and relating, talking about it, the bottom line is, it's going to push everybody to expand and up level when it comes to relationships.
Yeah. What about T.I.? T.I. and his wife are said to have moved into an open relationship style.
See, I don't believe that. I don't believe T.I.'s in an open relationship or open marriage because, when you look at where they are, it's a standard kind of oppressive situation, meaning that, there's something going on that's not monogamous in their relationship, but they're not open. Like if you were to ask me, oh, can Tiny go ahead and do whatever she wants relationship-wise or sexually or friendship-wise with any other man? The answer is no. You know what I'm saying? I don't see any of that. No.
Really?
No, and T.I. has even expressed, I've seen him express some reservations about that. I mean, I don't see him being, to be straightforward, being secure enough to allow Tiny to go do what she feels she wants to do for herself without him feeling, slighted or his manhood is under attack or not feeling extreme jealousy or insecurity around it. That's the bottom line. So no, I don't feel they're in an open marriage. And on top of that, they haven't come out and said they're in an open marriage.
But neither have Will and Jada. Are Will and Jada in an open marriage?
I would say no. Again, I don't, and again, whatever they're doing is what they're doing, and that's fine. Like, whatever you want to do for yourself as a couple or as an individual, that's perfect. But it's in terms of the open marriage definition that I talk about in the book, are Will and Jada open? I would say no. I would say there's levels of that. I see some levels of polyamory, but again, they're denying they're in an open marriage. There's no indication that they actually have that freedom of movement. We see some of that with Will. Like I heard he was traveling with a woman in Europe recently or whatever. Right. But I don't see the freedom with Jada. She doesn't feel confident enough to even talk about it openly.
Okay.
So no, I don't see them as being in an open marriage. They might be polyamorous, if they have some agreements about here's how we can do something outside of our monogamous situation. Yeah. But no, I don't see them as being open. I don't see them as being totally free.
Well, do you think that's changing? Because these celebrities are not allowed to say they're in open marriages because they will lose jobs, they will lose connections. People were not ready to hear that. And so maybe that's why they're hiding it.
Well, no, I disagree with that. People say the same thing about the whole gay thing. Like if you came out as an actor or an actress and said that you were gay or you were a lesbian, you were going to lose, credibility or lose jobs. It's just not true. You know what I'm saying? I believe that the truth with Will and Jada is, and again, I don't know, I haven't talked to them, but assessing from the outside is they are not actually open. They have some agreements. They may be somewhat polyamorous or have a pseudo polyamorous relationship, but no, I don't see them as being open. I don't see them as being able to be free about what they want to do and actually doing that on a regular basis. I just don't see it. Now, maybe they are. Again, I haven't talked with Will and Jada. I've got no idea what they're actually doing, but I just don't see them as being open. I don't see them as having a freedom-based relationship. I do not.
Okay. Well, let's move on. If you guys have questions out there, please put them in the chat, and I will ask Rakhem Seku, Carl Stevens. I will ask him. He is right here, and I can get your question directly to him. Kanika said they pseudo-polyamorous. She likes that.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, there's no problem with that. If you want to be poly or you want to be pseudo-poly, or you want to be monogamous, you want to be polygynous or any of those things, like I said, do you. But I want to make part of the reason for the book is a clear separation between what open relating is, which is freedom-based relating, which is doing your thing, being proud of who you are, not having to hide that, not having to justify to your partner that you have certain feelings or wants or desires.
Right.
That's open to me. And we're going to get into that in a bit.
Right. And maybe Kanika might like that, because Kanika said polyamory is not for her. But this book is still for you, because guess what? This is about being honest in your relationship. Can you explain that, Rakhem?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, being open. See, you can be open and be celibate your entire life, right? The main thing about open is that, look, this is who I am. This is what I want to do, right? And therefore, I'm going to do that, right? So, for example, there are a lot of people who are in quote-unquote monogamy right now who, if you're choosing to be monogamous because that's what you want to do, and you don't need some type of rule to govern your behavior, there's no punishment for you going outside of a particular rule, then really technically you're open. Why? Because you're doing what you're choosing to do, right?
Not about sex.
You're not going to castigate your partner for doing something or saying something or texting someone or whatever, because that's what you guys are choosing to do, right? And the key is this: the open means it's a choice. And if I choose something different 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, then I don't have a fear or hang up around that. So that's why it's open relating, because it's a choice. You're choosing to do that without fear of repercussion.
Okay, Anthony is raising his hand. That means he has a question. You can take yourself off mute. Anthony, what is your question? Galaxy is saying, is the factor that makes a relationship open the ability to stay in close support to your partner openly while you foster other relationships? Is that the one factor of open relating?
I would say that's an important factor, because it's authentic. So if you're in partnership with your husband or your wife and you guys have a love for each other, you have a family, there's certain things that you as a responsible adult are going to do. You're going to support your husband or wife. You're going to be there for the family. You're going to be there for the children. You're going to do all those things that a responsible spouse is going to do, which means that unconditional support, that undying love and support for them.
Yes.
So that's a part of monogamy in my mind, right? But the difference with open, the key with open is, you know what? I can be and do how I feel without my husband or wife, castigating me for that, punishing me for that. I can speak my mind to them without fear of them, withholding sex from me or wanting a divorce or whatever. That's the real difference with open, is I can be a free human being, unabashedly, unashamed, and that my partner, my spouse, is going to accept me, or they're not.
But most people will say, but don't you have to communicate that to your spouse, that you want that kind of freedom to change and be changeable?
Well, if when people enter a monogamous relationship, that's a particular agreement. So if you're going to come outside of that agreement and actually have an open, honest relationship with your partner, where if you feel whatever, an attraction or whatever, you want to express that, then yeah, you have to come out and say to them, yes, let's change the relationship. Let's talk about the real deal in our relationship and have authentic communication. Then yes, you've got to change the structure. Monogamy, remember, is a box. There's just certain things you can do. There's certain things you can say without hurting your partner's ego. So yes, to go to another structure or an open structure or a freedom structure, you need to communicate that.
Okay, somebody's asking, in an open relationship, can you have a baby outside of your marriage?
The answer is yes. You can have a baby outside of your marriage. Can you do that in a monogamous situation? What happens all the time in monogamy. As a matter of fact, the number one structure where babies occur outside the marriage is monogamy. It's not polygyny. It's not polyandry. It's not polyfidelity. It's not polyamory. It's not open relating.
Yes.
If you want to find babies outside the marriage, you got to talk to people who consider themselves and identify as monogamous. And they'll tell you the stories about their situation or their relatives or whatever, where babies happen outside the marriage. And then people got to work it out.
How do you get over feeling slighted or being jealous in this type of relationship? Is asked by Irma.
Yeah, jealousy is something that you need to work on, even in monogamy. So we're going to go over a process at the end. Do you want me to cover that now? The process?
No, okay. We're going to do that at the end. Irma,
okay.
Irma, thank you for your question.
But jealousy is something everybody has, and we all need to work on it, whether we're relating or not.
Yeah. Lily said, can you be open and still have parameters around the relationship? For instance, her partner is having children, for instance, my partner having children with another woman. She's asking, can there be parameters,
yes,
boundaries?
Parameters are for polyamorous couples. So you're in polyamory, right? Open is something different. Polyamory says, hey, you talk to your husband or your wife and say, here are the rules and agreements for how we're going to operate. Yes, you can have babies outside of the relationship. No, you cannot have babies outside of the relationship. Yes, you can have 2 partners. Yes, you can have 3. No, you can't bring those people into the house. So whenever there's a rule or an agreement, that is polyamory, right? And in polyamory, you continue to negotiate those rules, negotiate those agreements throughout the relationship, and that's fine. Beautiful to have agreements. Again, monogamy is agreement-based. Monogamy says no physical or emotional love or connection outside of you and I. Do you agree to that? Yes. Okay, I agree to that. So now we're in a monogamous situation. That's an agreement. Perfect. It's beautiful.
Yes. Okay? So somebody is asking me, what about transparency, communication, and agreements? Would that go back to polyamory? Yeah, that's polyamory. Again, polyamory oftentimes says, look, in order for us to date outside of the primary union or whatever, because polyamory has a primary union, first of all, to begin with. But anyway, outside of your husband and wife, you all agree to be transparent. See, you might have heard in polyamory where people are saying, well, we're polyamorous, but my husband or wife, they're not doing it right, or they violated the agreement. See, in polyamory, you can have cheating. Why? Because there are agreements in place. And if you're not transparent, oh, you had sex with somebody, you didn't tell me the next day, or you didn't tell me beforehand, you cheated. So yes, you have agreements and transparency in polyamory. But that's not the case in open relating, right?
In open relating, it's a freedom-based relationship style. So for example, I know my wife, she knows me. We know how we roll, right? So I know the kind of, partner she likes. I know how she is, what she wants. So look, she has the freedom to go do that. You don't have to check with me before you go talk to somebody.
Woo!
You don't have to check with me before you go have sex with somebody. Like, yes. Go ahead and do you. Yes. You don't got to tell me everything. If you want to, you can. Feel free to share. Okay. But my thing is, I'm going to see, no matter what she does, I'm going to be committed to her and our relationship and our structure. So there's nothing that she can really do, woo, even if she got pregnant or whatever, that's going to cause me to not want to be with her. That's open relating.
I like open relating better than polyamory. Is that why you wrote this book? Because you like open better than poly?
Yeah, for me, again, Kenya and I started out polyamorous. We started out where, we had rules. And we realized over time, like, this shit is crazy as hell. Like, this is not accomplishing anything. This is really hiding our insecurities, the same insecurities we had in monogamy, right? So I was like, we started to move towards an open paradigm for relationships. And once we were able to do that, it became more free, more open, and more fulfilling. Yes. And so I wanted to write a book that talked about, to me, what the apex of relating is, which is freedom-based relating, which is open relating. And that's where we are right now.
Somebody's saying, how can you tell if you're just bored with your partner or if you just want open relating? What's the difference? What do people need to do this if they're just bored with their partner?
I don't understand the concept of being bored with a partner. I do and I don't. So if you're bored with your partner, like, what are you saying? So if you're in monogamy, for example, and you're bored with your partner, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay in that situation and just kind of sludge through? Then that's just a choice. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be in a boring relationship, then go ahead and do that. But you can also go to counsel or coaching and figure out a way to maybe get it better. I don't know. But if you're bored with your partner and you want to open relate as a result of that, then open relate.
But they're saying, is that a good reason to do it?
I mean, the best reason to open relate is because you believe in the concept of open relating. You believe that, you know what? I'm going to have multiple attractions. I'm going to have multiple connections. And some of those I might act on, some of those I may not. But guess what? I feel it's healthy for me as a human being to have multiple adult relationships and connections, interactions. That's the best reason to do that. And to believe that your husband or wife is going to have that same feeling in order for you all to be healthy, whole, sane adults, that you're going to give each other the space to do that. That's the best reason.
Yes. Dwayne says that he is open, but his partners are poly. They want all of these rules. What do you do if you deal with somebody who wants a lot of rules, but you're open? That means no rules.
Right. Then you decide if you're open, but your partners are poly. And this happens all the time, right? You can even have a partner who's quote unquote monogamous, which would really make them polygynous, right? But if they have rules, that's fine. You let them know how you roll. This is what I do. This is how I live my life. I'm going to have I tell people all the time, I have multiple partners. Here's how I like to engage in sex. You know, sometimes I'm going to meet somebody day one and we're going to have sex that day or whatever, like, whatever it is. Like, that's how I roll.
All right.
And you don't have to like that or love that, but if you can accept that, then we can connect and kind of work together.
Yes. So you have been married. We've been married for 20 years, monogamous 11 years. What's the difference between the portion of our lives that was 11 years monogamous, then a few years poly, and now open? What is the biggest difference? Which phase did you enjoy the most? And do you feel like people need to go through all the phases that we went through?
So I have a chapter in my book called Mastering Monogamy. I feel it's important that people actually do learn to relate to one person effectively, to have authentic communication, to be able to, you know what I'm saying, relate in a positive way, right? But yeah, we had 3 phases. The best phase for me is the open phase where I am right now. I think Kenya and I are way further along. We've been in our lives in a lot of different ways. You know, I think we're healthier now than we were, just physically more healthy. I don't think we have the same kind of stress. When we were monogamous, I think it was a beautiful period because we were also communal back then. So we were a part of a community, and that also helps in terms of, you know, you just feeling good about yourself and feeling good about your family and community. But no, open is the best area for me. And the monogamous part was fulfilling because we were newly married.
Yes.
We were having babies.
Yes.
And that was beautiful.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, we would have either probably there have been some cheating or some major issues or whatever if we would have stayed monogamous. So
Anthony is asking, how does he meet people who might be interested in this? How does he say this to people? Does the book address that?
Yeah, so there's a section in the book that talks about how to actually find partners. How do I go about looking for partners? How do I go about finding partners? How do I choose somebody? And so it talks about the approach to that. The first thing to do, and I'll tell you this right now, is you got to be real to yourself. Like, what do I want? As a man, what am I looking for? As a woman, what am I looking for? And then once you understand that, and even if it goes against popular whatever, once you understand that, then you begin to communicate that to people organically, and you don't be ashamed of what you really want. Too many men, for example, are afraid to say, well, I just want a sexual relationship. So instead, they get into a committed, sexually exclusive relationship just because they want to have sex with the person. And then when they disappear off the face of the earth, a lot of women say, well, the guy disappeared after a certain time. Yeah, because he had to lie to you to get into the relationship to begin with because he wasn't being honest about what he really wanted. Say what you want. As a man, as a woman, say what you want. If you're a woman, you want to be married, then say that.
Yes.
Don't front and then be mad because a year later, 2 years later, he's not giving you what you want. You didn't say what you wanted.
But the women want the man to be monogamous. They want, because they want security. Does monogamy really secure women?
No, monogamy doesn't secure anything. So there's enough, you guys should know that monogamy secures 0. You know, a person, a human being, they're going to do what they're going to do. And if you think the relationship institution of monogamy is going to A, make you happy, or B, stop a person from leaving you, divorcing you, from cheating on you, that's just incorrect. There's enough data out there to prove that monogamy protects nothing.
Right. When we first got married, you said you wanted to have many wives. How were you able to open to the concept of open relating instead of just your ass having a lot of different women? Because that was never going to fly, baby. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, I think a misconception that people have is that I've always been cool with open relating. I was not. Even when Kenya talked to me about it, I wanted to be polygynous. I wanted to be one man with many women in my house. That's the truth of the matter. I had no desire to be open. I had no desire for my wife to be with other men, right? So I had been around polygyny, I'd heard about it, I'd seen polygynous families, and that's what I wanted. It wasn't until I was able to actually be around people and specifically a knowledgeable individual who I really respected and who was able to teach me about the feminine, you know, teach me that women need to be free, that even if they don't understand that, they need to be free, they need to be happy and be able to express themselves organically. That's when I started to consider being open. But until then, no, I wanted to be polygynous. You know, I didn't even want to be monogamous. I want to be polygynous. I wanted multiple wives. Okay. If I would have done that, it would have been a fucking disaster.
All right. Somebody said that sounds like her husband. Brianna says, my partner understands my mindset about poly open relationships, but doesn't want that for us. I've seen his eye wandering and sometimes would take small action. But when I bring up the idea of open relating, he hates it. Why? Why does he hate it? How do we get past something like this?
Yeah, so one thing that people need to understand, and women especially, there's very few men out there that are going to actually support you in being sexually free. So there's a lot of movements out there right now. You know what I'm saying? There's the racism movement and classism and all that bullshit. Women need to be fighting for their sexual freedom, which is basically your freedom as a woman, right? So, most people are going to try to suppress your sexuality. That's the number one issue on the planet Earth right now, is that a woman's sexuality is being suppressed.
Why?
There are very few men who are going to support you in that. So your husband, even though he wants multiple partners like I did at one time, he's gonna say it's not for us, meaning I'm going to fuck other women, whether I gotta do it above ground or on the sly, but you cannot have other partners.
Why?
Because men are conditioned to believe that their manhood is bolstered by the fact that women are loyal to them. What men are looking for is the most beautiful women they can possibly find that are sexually exclusive with them. And they want their other guy friends and peers to see that. And when their guy friends and peers see that, men get points for that.
That's some bullshit.
They get manhood points for that. And so they're going to try to keep you in the house, sexually exclusive, but they're going to go out and do what they're going to do. They're going to go out and cheat. They're going to wander. They're going to flirt. They're going to do that.
Somebody is asking me, why would multiple wives have been a disaster? Cause, bitch, guess what? I need a dick too.
Well, it would have been a disaster for me.
Would have been a disaster for both of us.
Yeah, for me, because it's not what I was actually looking for. Like once I was able to mature and open relating, I realized I don't want multiple women in my house.
No.
That shit would have drove me fucking nuts.
We would have killed. I don't see how any one man is going to serve all these women who all have this high sex drive. I have a high ass sex drive. I need some dick. I'm not trying to be in a house with one dude playing hopscotch and musical chairs with this ninja. Please.
Yeah, so for me, it wasn't what I was looking for in a relationship. What I was looking for was just my ability to express myself freely. For me, this is for me. Some men are built for it. For me, having multiple women in one house would just be a fucking headache. It's the additional structure and responsibility I wouldn't really care for. And on top of that, it's just, it's too much. Those women, like Kenya's saying, are not going to be happy in that situation. Even though women are down for polygyny because they want to be in a marriage or family unit, they're not ultimately going to be happy. Again, I've observed many polygynous units.
They dry.
And those women are not happy in that situation.
They're not getting enough dick. Let me tell you how much dick I need. Please, this is crazy. So I want to ask you this. Somebody is asking, well, let's move to the different relationship styles. Here it is up on the screen. Take a look at your screen, guys. Polygyny, polygamy, polyamory, polyandry, polyfidelity, and monogamy. Those are all different forms of relationship.
Yeah, so polygyny means one man with many women. The women cannot have other partners. The man can bring other wives in, either through the wife saying, bringing somebody else in, or through the man doing it, or both. Polygamy is a general term that describes one to many. So either one man, many women, or one woman, many men, but not both. Polyandry is one woman with many men, right? And that's a little bit more rare because we're in a patriarchal type of structure. And so women who have many men tend to be more on the down low, not open about it. Polyfidelity means there's many. So you have many people who are coming together to be sexually exclusive with each other.
Yes,
right?
A group.
So there's nobody outside that group that can come in unless everybody in the group agrees to it. That's polyfidelity. Monogamy means it's one-on-one. It means two people who are agreeing to be just with each other emotionally and physically from a intimate and sexual level.
Yes.
Right? And then open relating means it's freedom-based relating. It's meaning that we each choose to do what we feel is best for us, and we operate in an authentic way, in a responsible and accountable way. We know that we are creating our lives, and we're responsible for our happiness, not my partner, and therefore we're taking the responsibility upon us to bring that home.
2 questions. Somebody said, does it hurt a man's ego if his woman wants to have sex with somebody else?
Yeah, for a man who believes his manhood is tied up in what his woman does, it's going to hurt his ego, yes.
So why do men feel like they're tied up into what a woman does with her vagina? How does what I do with my vagina make another person a man? That's crazy to me.
Well, because men have been conditioned since birth to look at the mother figure, the woman figure, as the one to tell you who you were as a man, to raise you, say, yeah, you did good. No, you didn't do good. She's the prime, it's a subconscious thing with us men. We've always had women telling us that we're either good or bad. Your mom says, yeah, you did the right thing. Good boy. Your teachers are mostly women growing up in elementary school, middle school. They're saying, yes, you did good. You got an A. No, you did bad. You got an F. So women have always told men and been the primary determinant about who we are as men, as boys. So we're used to that. So we get older, we carry that into adulthood. We're not initiated into manhood, into womanhood. So we take those same things into adulthood. And yes, most men operate on that level.
Wow. Carl Sincere said that men are territorial. What about that?
That's bullshit.
Oh!
Yeah, so yes, most beta men are territorial. Why? Because a beta man feels that his success is somehow dependent upon, what this other man over here is doing. If I'm Michael Jordan, you see what I'm saying? I'm getting mine no matter what you do.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? If I'm Tiger Woods, if I'm an alpha male, then there's nothing you can do to stop me from being successful.
Wow.
It's not about territorial. And on top of that, true alpha males are not territorial. They are communal. They get together with other alpha males and they dominate.
Yes.
So alpha males tend to gather together to dominate their community, dominate their nation, dominate the earth.
Yes.
That's what alpha males do. Beta males work individually and they get territorial. Women are territorial. Territorialness is a feminine trait.
Wow.
That's like the whole nesting piece. Like a woman wants to nest. These are my eggs over here, and they get very violent and very territorial if you come near their nest. A man is not about that.
Right.
That's a female, a feminine trait.
Oh, wow. Okay, he broke that one down. Wayne is saying, how do you deal with meeting those that, first of all, think about that they want an open relationship, but then when the new woman is introduced, they go into bitch mode. The woman. Like he said, the woman said, yeah. okay, we can do it. But then he brings a woman home, another woman, and she's upset.
Right. So here's the deal.
They need to read the book.
Yeah, if you got to read the book. If you're coming from monogamy, so we're all monogamous by nature, all of us. I'm in an open relationship, but I'm monogamous by mindset. I've been trained in monogamy all my life. I've seen it all my life on TV, movies. So look, you've got to get the book. So you need support. You need to read the book. You need to get into the Juju Mama Love Academy and get support from your peers, from men, from women, because it's going to take time to get out of that mindset. So yeah, you don't think you can say, oh yeah, we're open and everybody's cool day one.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
Right. It takes time. You have to learn it. That's what we provide in this book. So let me ask you this, because most people will say, Anthony said, how much is the book?
You can get it on Kindle for like $5.99 or $6.99.
Right.
Download it.
If you want a real copy, how much is that?
I think it's $19.99.
They can go to Amazon,
or
right?
$17.99. You go to Amazon.com, type in The Art of Open Relating, it comes right up. It's the first one that comes up.
Right. Martha said, is there a good time or a bad time to open your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, the bad time is when you do it and you don't really feel confident that that's what you want to do. It's going to be work. Like marriage is work. You don't get married unless you know you want to do the work inside marriage. It's going to be one of the hardest things you ever do. So same thing with open relating. You want to know that, you know what, I see a benefit to doing this. I feel good about doing this, and therefore I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
That's when you open your marriage. If your partner's forcing you to do it, then don't do it.
No. Brianna is asking, will this be recorded? Yes, it will. We will send this out to everybody who's on the list. If you're not on the list, you got to get on the list. What about sex and STDs? This is the #1 reason people always tell me, oh, that's dirty. You're open relating. And I'm thinking, like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, people are full of shit. So let's deal with STDs first. If you have a concern about STDs, all you've got to do is protect yourself. Period, point blank. Whatever you feel you need to do to make sure that you're protected, just do that. So for some people, they don't want to touch another person's fluids. So you put on the condom, the female condom, you use plastic, you use vaginal dams. whatever you need to do to feel secure that you're protecting yourself. And part two is, if you don't feel you can really have sex with other people without there being a risk, then don't have sex until you meet your exclusive partner and you guys have both been tested multiple times, and then you have sex. There's no worries whatsoever about STDs. The only worry is you're going to go out there and do something that goes against your own individual, philosophy around protection. Don't act recklessly. Right. That's all there is to it. So people who are concerned about STDs are reckless people. They say, oh, no, it's too much. No, because you're going to go out there and do something that goes against your own mental configuration about what safety is.
Wow. Somebody's even saying, oh, my God, it's an ass on the screen. Ass is beautiful. Ass, what's on the screen right now, that's where babies came from. It's nothing dirty, nasty, or anything about an ass and a vagina and a penis. You have learned that shit is nasty. You have learned that stuff should not be seen. That's why I put the ass on the screen. Look at the ass. Look at it. It's as beautiful as a face. It's as beautiful as eyes and lips and a mouth. Okay?
Yeah, we live in a society where sexuality is demonized. So the very act that brought you into existence, the body parts that brought you into existence are looked at as dirty or sinful. And that's a part of the, conditioning that we have being in Western culture. And people, you've got to work on getting out of that. That's part of the suppression of a woman's sexuality, of a male sexuality, is the fact that you're somehow come from a dirty or sinful act, like sex is dirty or sinful.
No.
The research coming out now, and there's a lot of different sciences that are exploring this, shows that, as human beings, we need touch. We need sexual interaction just in order to be happy, to be sane as human beings. So anybody talking about sex is dirty or nudity is dirty or whatever is just crazy. And that's the thing about open relating. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with sex. Sex is beautiful. Sex is natural. If you got a different belief about it, just don't have sex. Just be monogamous or be celibate and don't have sex until you find a partner who thinks like you and be in that relationship.
All right. Open relating relaxes sexual tension about the potentiality for sex. What does that mean?
So the bottom line is open relating is the only relationship structure that relaxes the tension around sex. Meaning, if you're monogamous, and I've been monogamous most of my life, so I can speak to it, that there's a lot of tension about going too far. Did I talk to her too much? Did I look at this woman too much? Did I send a message or a text to somebody and break a rule? The issue is that people are concerned about things going too far. When do you cross that line? So there's always, in monogamy, there's always sexual tension. I don't want to look at this person too long because they might think I want to have sex, and that might break the rule of monogamy. Same thing with polygyny and polyandry and polyfidelity and even polyamory.
Yes.
Am I crossing the line? Am I crossing the sexual line? Yes. I don't want to give this person the wrong idea because they might think I'm attracted to them.
Wow.
With open relating, we're saying, look, so if you cross the line, so what?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I have these people and they think I'm attracted to them and nothing happens, perfect. If something happens, perfect. I'm free to just be who I am and not have to worry about, oh, I crossed the line or there's no sexual attention with me.
Wow.
Like some women kind of look at me like, oh man, that was pretty forward, what you said, Rakhem. But so what? I'm just being me. I don't care if you think I'm being sexual or being over whatever. I'm just being me. I don't have a concern. You see what I'm saying? And that's the issue with our society is people are worried about crossing a fucking line. So everybody's walking around all tense and pent up.
And it really causes a lot of problems for women, Rakhem. Have you noticed a difference in me, how I am now, where I'm not worried about crossing a line? If I meet somebody and I want to fuck tonight, I'm going to fuck tonight.
Right.
Have you noticed a difference in me now and a difference in me for our first 10 years in monogamy?
Yeah, I mean, Kendra's a lot more free. She's free to just be herself, to speak her mind. If she wants to express an attraction to somebody, even if she's not interested in actually being with that person, she just goes out and does that. Since she doesn't have to worry about me saying something or anybody, like who cares? She can just be free. Attraction is natural. You know what I'm saying? Expressing yourself in that way is natural, and she's able to do that. In monogamy, she was not able to do that. Actually, for us, you had all those women, Kenya, those older women who were like always looking at your behavior.
Yeah.
So Kenya, the first time we came to our church, Kenya was wearing some tight jeans, and like these women are on her like she's dressed.
That's because they didn't want their husbands looking at me, which it keeps our communities apart. When we're always trying to keep somebody away from something and always trying to control the situation, we can't have real relationships with women.
It's insanity.
It's insanity.
And
People always wonder, well, how will this help particularly the African-American community? The African-American community is torn apart. Because we can't even look at each other. We're scared somebody's going to take our man, take our woman, do this, do that. It's like we can't even love each other.
Exactly. There's no brotherhood. There's no sisterhood right now in the African-American community, or there will never be as long as people have these concerns about people crossing the line, or you're going to take my man or woman. All these concepts that people are bringing out about coming together and pulling economics,
bullshit.
That shit's never going to work. Why?
Bullshit.
Because there's too much jealousy and insecurity in the community. So men are always be looking at each other. You look at my woman, da, 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 da. Women are going to be doing the same thing. It'll never, ever be unity ever until this stuff is addressed.
Not
ever.
until we can fuck who we want to fuck. All the men need to feel nurtured by all the women. All the women need to feel nurtured by all the men. All the children need to feel like any adult is a responsible parent.
And that's what an alpha male does, is the alpha male protects that. He says, look, women, no matter what you do, I'm going to be behind you. I'm going to protect you. You know, brothers, whatever you do, I know you've got needs, just like I got needs. We're going to make sure we get those needs met together, and we're going to hold each other accountable for our behavior, but we're also going to support each other in being men.
Irma is asking, this may sound like a weird question, but is there a discussion when children are involved? And do you talk about it in the book?
I don't talk about children in the book at all. And I avoided the children thing on purpose because people get fucking, you know what I'm saying? They just get distracted. You see what I'm saying? So here's the deal. If you have concern about children and you're in a relationship, then just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just leave it alone. But I would just say, be honest with your children. The main issue with monogamy right now in marriage is that adults and parents are lying to their children and not telling them the truth about relationships, about marriage, and how difficult it is, and about how you're going to actually feel, about how your sex drive changes, about all these things. So if I were you, I would just be open to your children and say, look, mommy and daddy are adults. We have needs. And here's how we're going about dealing with
That's what we tell our children. Our children know everything, and they're very brilliant because of it. If we have an argument or anything, if I have an argument, my boyfriend, he has an argument with his girlfriend, we let the kids know what's going on. We don't try to keep them in the dark, and that makes them more brilliant. Hunia is asking, what about single women in open relationship? What about, I mean, women are seen as hoes. I mean, how do single women navigate this? Does the book talk about that?
Yeah, the book, I go into detail about the difference between singles and married people, because those are two different dynamics. You know, if you're married and you're going to open relating, that's like one set of concerns and things to figure out. And if you're single going in, it's another set. So single women, you got to have your minds right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be queendom focused. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get caught up in some vision or fantasy of what this is going to be. If you're dating somebody who's married, you better read the book so you can understand all the dynamics that go, because his mindset's completely different. His wife's mindset's completely different. Like, the pressure that a married person is under in terms of upholding their conditionings around marriage is immense.
Right.
So single women, you got to go in with your eyes open. Read the book so you can understand all the different aspects to consider. And same thing with marriage. If you're married and you're dating somebody who's single, you better read the book so you can understand his or her mentality. It's different than yours.
Right. Kanika is asking about marriage too. She said, why get married if you're going to be open? Just be single.
Right. So there's two scenarios. One scenario is, look, we got married. We were monogamous when we got married. And now we're growing as a couple. We want to be open now. So you're already married. So if you and your husband and wife are already married, and you know you're going to be together, and you know you're going to support each other and love each other, and you do love each other, then why get divorced? Second of all, marriage is for people who know they're going to be together forever, right. A, and B, who want to build legacy together. Right. Everybody you open relate with is not going to want to build legacy together, and they're not going to be committed to that process. So yes, marriage is beautiful if you're in open relating, because every partner is not the same. They don't want the same things.
Lily is saying, what if a girlfriend wants more from you? What if she wants more time, a family, etc.?
Right. So if a girlfriend wants more from me than what I'm able or willing to give, then I just talk to her about that. So anybody I date, I tell them up front, I'm married. I'm not divorcing my wife ever. I've got children. I've got a business, and I've got like 40 girlfriends across the globe. Okay, so that's the real deal with me. That's the
you have
honest
40
assessment.
Girlfriends?
I don't know how many I have. It's a lot. So that's the honest assessment for me. So here's what I can do with our relationship. I can spend this much time. I can communicate this much. That's what it's going to be.
We're moving into the thought process about the female choice and the male desires. Now, this is an important part of the book because one person doesn't usually fulfill all the male desires, and one man doesn't usually fulfill all the women's choices. So I have 4 choices, and you talk about those in the book. One of them is a domestic man. I call that the support choice. Right. I want a man in my house helping me take out my trash, but every man that I'm with is not domestic. Right. So, you know, what if I have me a domestic man and I want some of the other choices? What if a man has a domestic wifey, but he wants that freak on the side? Does the book address how to fulfill all the choices, and why can't one person be all the choices?
All right, so Kenya's talking about the choice paradigm. So there's 2 sets of choice realities. One is for women, and it's called the female choice paradigm. It means, you know, women have attractions for different types of men. Okay, there are 4 of those. And so, you know, like Kenya was saying, like the support choice, if you want a man to be your husband and to be a family man and to be responsible and accountable and be present with you, that's a support choice. So the book talks about those 4 choices. I don't go into too much detail because it's a book by itself. So hopefully Kenya's going to write that book one day.
I will write that.
But I talk about the choices and what they look like and how to kind of navigate some basic things with them. On the other side is the men. Men have 4 desires. So men always want to feel a certain way. So the support choice for women is the king desire for men. So if you want to feel like the king of your castle, the king of the throne, you see what I'm saying? Then you are desiring a woman who's going to help you feel that way, who's going to support you in that way. So those 2 choices and desires go together. That is a marriage match, right? But a lot of women, for example, get confused. They think the man that they have the strongest sexual connection to, or the man that they're most attracted to, or the man that's got the most money, whatever, is the support choice. And that's not how it works. No. That's why a lot of monogamous marriages fail, because you guys are selecting the wrong person to build a legacy with. We're talking about a marathon. We're talking about 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of being with this person and building and building and building. That's a certain kind of individual.
Right.
So no, I break it down in the book so you guys know. You know, we talk about it at Juju Mom and the Love Academy all the time. The choice paradigm is key, is critical.
Right.
So I don't know what else to say about it. Read the book and get the desires and choices so you know what they are.
Ashley is asking, what happens if you fall in love outside of your relationship? And I'm sort of giggling at that question because I love all of my men.
Right.
And you love all of your women, don't you?
In the book, I break down, there's different types of love. There's falling in love. There's choosing to love. There's unconditional love. There's different kinds of love. If you fall in love with somebody, then you need to talk to your partner. You need to say, look, I am in love with somebody else. Kenya came to me a long time ago with that message. She said, I'm in love with this guy over here. We were still monogamous. You're saying you've got to talk to your husband, your wife about, if you fall in love with somebody, you've got, and you have any integrity whatsoever in your relationship, and you love them at all, you've got to tell them. Because if you don't tell them, it's gonna kill the relationship. It's gonna get ugly.
I told you that I was in love with that man because we had only been married 4 years. And when I met him, I did fall in love with him. And I just felt like you should know. I shouldn't have this going on in my head where I want to really be with this dude. I love him. I met him. How would you not know that? I don't understand people not telling each other this.
No, again, but that's monogamy. So a lot of people have the fear. If I tell my wife that I'm in love with this woman over here, we know her mind's going to go way, way to the left and be like, I got to do something. He's going to want to fuck her. He's going to fuck her. He's going to cheat on me. So what people do is they say, look, I'm just not going to tell you about who I am and how I really feel because I know you're not going to accept that. I know you can't handle that.
Right. So we talked about this yesterday, and we won't have time to go into it now, but jealousy and insecurity, we do have a tool for that. You talk about it in the book, but jealousy is really telling you to ask yourself one question. What do you think that question is?
Kenya, what I think that question is jealousy is saying, what do I really want?
Yes.
What do I want? That the symbol of that jealousy or the trigger of that jealousy is trying to communicate to me. If my partner is having more love with somebody else and I feel jealous about that, what do I really want? Oh, I want the same kind of love that she's getting or that he's getting. So that's what jealousy is trying to help you understand. What do I really want in life?
Right.
And so I talk about jealousy.
But most people think that jealousy is telling them that their partner needs to do something for them and their partner needs to do this to them. And that goes back to the choice paradigm. If I'm with a domestic partner, he can't do the same thing as my warrior partner.
Right.
He can't do the same thing as my partner who my pussy is just after, or my partner who's super smart.
Right.
It's all different things that different people can do. So
Exactly.
How does your book deal with the idea of competition?
Well, first of all, we talk about this concept of compersion. Compersion means learning to actually love your partner and wanting them to be in the best place that they can be emotionally and find their happiness and being happy for them when they're there. So you're trying to practice loving your partner, which means you're happy for them when they're happy, even if they get their happiness from somewhere else. So you have to try to get into that. People in monogamy claim they love their husband, love their wife. When their wife goes and finds happiness outside of you, then you're pissed.
Right.
That's not love.
That's not
That's
love.
not compersion.
That's not love, baby.
So you got to go back to square one and start to love your partner. If they're finding happiness somewhere, sometimes people find happiness in pornography or whatever it is, like you got to learn to love that about them.
So the issue with poly today is people are trying to do it without community. What we suggest is not only you get this book, but you join JLA. We have been teaching this for 12 years. Rakhem Seku and myself have developed thousands of videos just like this where you can watch with your partner. Somebody said, save that video so we can see it because we want to show our partner. But guess what? I'm going to show you guys something majestic right now that you can share with your partner anytime because it's right here on our site. And what it is our library. Look at this. You can come into our library and look up polyamory. Look at these are all videos. This is what you get for $20 a month. You can start for $1. You can teach your partner about sex and tantra, freedom from STDs, sex rituals, sexual freedom for women. Look at these are all videos. These are about relationship tools, self-empowerment. But look, open relating, guidance for men who want to open, guidance for women who want to open marriage, monogamy, relationship styles. These are each videos. Let me click on one to show you that these are videos. These are things that you can go in and show your partner and say, look at this. We can learn this stuff together. Don't get the book without becoming a member. Go to JujuMamaLoveAcademy.com and put in this code $1 bronze and get yourself a membership so that you can, with your partner, learn about these things. I don't care if you're LGBT, open, poly. What do we feel about LGBT people at Juju Mama?
Yeah, it's just people are people. We don't get into like all that stuff. We focus more on masculine energy and feminine energy. Both men and women, males and females have both. Whatever you choose to pursue for yourself is fine. If you want to focus on the androgynous, which is neither masculine nor feminine, but just a balance or a mix of both of those things, is fine. Like nobody really cares what you want to focus on relationship-wise. Why? Because all we care about, the same issues are going to come up for you. If you're gay, if you're lesbian, if you're trans, you're going to find the same relationship issues and challenges. I don't care who you identify as. You're going to just watch. You can change from straight to gay, whatever. It'll be the same exact challenges. The same. So we focus on the solutions around relating, not what you claim for yourself or your sexual identity.
Lily's saying, what if a girlfriend wants more from you than what you want to give? Again, before you answer that, $1 bronze is the code. If you go to Juju Mama Love Academy right now and then go and click into memberships, you can be a part of our forums. We talk about this. You're not in a vacuum when you join JLA. You will be a part of us. And we, myself and my husband, will be talking to you on a daily basis. If you are a member right now, put something in the chat. Let people know what happens at Juju Mama Love Academy.
And the important thing is that it's the Juju Mama Love Academy is not just for polyamorous couples. No. Most of our couples are actually monogamous. They're exclusive.
Do you have a question?
Hey, this is Stephen Mack again.
Yes, what's going on? We gotta go fast, baby. You gotta say your question fast, baby. Let's go.
Okay, I like to, you know, as me as a single man myself, I was wondering if you have any polydynamics that can be involved for single people like me.
Do we have polydynamics? Yes. People who join our groups meet other people who are poly. We have 250 members in our private groups on Facebook. Nobody gets into there unless they join the Love Academy. So I would highly suggest you join. It's been many years, Steve. About 7 years for you. You haven't joined yet. You late. You late to the party. Get in here and let's do this. Any other questions? Any other people who have comments, concerns? If you buy the book today, you go to Amazon.com and Google The Art of Open Relating. Sonny has a question. He said, I get it. And I have agreed for a long time that jealousy, insecurity, and fear exist equally in any relationship style because it's not the style, but the person.
Exactly.
My question is more about being in my 30s. I've been open and or poly for 15 years, but without a lot of language. So thank you for this book. But now that so many in my age group are getting married exclusively, I kind of don't want to do it anymore. I have lots of open and poly friends, which is cool, but I do want to date men too. Their dick game is usually still whack. It's a weird challenge. Any tips? That's a long question. I don't understand. Do you understand that question?
Yeah, to me, the tip is there are a ton of polyamorous people out there. So polyamory is one of the fastest growing relationship styles next to single. But also, you know, I would join the groups because that you can meet people who are really working on themselves. So, you know, men who are working on their dick game and you know, studying tantra, studying sacred sexuality, studying sexual alchemy, and those men tend to come a lot stronger than men who are not working on themselves. So, when, for example, the men in my group, you know, there's certain men who are there who are really embracing some of these tools. And they're working through stuff. And there, you know, some men who had ED, they no longer have it. Their dick game is coming a lot stronger. So you got to be around people who are focused on self-empowerment, who are focused on improvement. Those will be out there around people who aren't working on themselves.
Right. So that's the deal. I mean, that's what we're looking at here. And I really want you guys to think about all of this that you heard today. Okay, think about everything you've heard today. We have to go. We don't do this all day. Come to our groups. Get in closer. Join. And then, of course, get the book. The book is ready for you. We look forward to serving you. Come over to JLA. Thanks for tuning in today.
They want me gone. Wait for the kicker. Bury me now, and I only get bigger. That's word of my nigga. Yeah.
Irma's looking at like, what is going on this thing? We done. That's what's going on. If you want more, get all of what we have over at JLA. Go right now. JujuMamaLoveAcademy.com. Join. You join it for $1. That's it. So I don't know what's the hold up. Don't look at the screen because there's nothing else happening. This is the library. Look at it. I'm going to take this off so that I can show the screen right here. Yeah. I'm the loud ass one in the back. I'm sorry. Yeah, look at the library. It's out of control. It's completely out of control. Stuff on communication. I mean, we did this class the other day that was so crazy. Look at this. Bye, guys. If you got to go, we're done. I'm just showing everybody what we have back here. 1,000 videos for people who want to learn and explore. I mean, it's an incredible collection. So these are all videos that you get. I mean, everything you touch in this library is an audio or video. There's no boring reading. This is the library. You can touch any video. Let's touch the lover. And let's see what's behind there. Who's in that chat talking? Let's see what they talk about in the chat. All of these slides, all of this stuff. Thank you, Hunia. Thank you. I'm not the funniest woman alive. There are funnier women than me. Look at this. I look gorgeous in this video. All of this is behind the wall. That's what we're doing. That you guys say, what do they talk about membership? This is what we're talking about. Okay, you get the slides, you get the videos. It's incredible. It's nothing like you've ever seen before in your whole life. Okay, there's no coach on the planet that has this much content as available it is for you right now here. So go ahead and get it. You can have all this information. You will have access to the groups. We will add you to the Facebook private groups. Then you won't just be on my page talking about, hey, I've been here for 7 years. What should I do? You late. Get in here. JujuMamaLoveAcademy.com. That's how you get in there. JujuMamaLoveAcademy.com. And you can use this code. I'm going to put it here again. $1 bronze. Then you can use my library for a month for $1. Isn't that fabulous? Then you can quit because $20 might be too much for you to continue. But I doubt that it is because we have $20. You want the ritual magic? You want the narcissism debate? We talked about what is a narcissist. You want sexual age appropriateness with children? You want to get some parenting advice? It's all back here. Diary of an Opening Marriage, 10 open relationship pitfalls. I mean, let's do this. All right, I got to go, guys. I love y'all. I got to put my music back on because that's the only way I leave. That's why I put on music so that I can leave a meeting, okay?